everybody. This is Kevin Davidson, your host for Kevin's Corner, Real Estate from a Marketing Perspective. And this is episode number 81 of my podcast. And this one's going to be a special one because my first guest is from my previous life. You guys know that I was in property management for 7 years, was the marketing director for the, at the time, fastest growing property management company in the country. And they sold in 2019, so Steve and I are still arguing about why he sold and all that stuff, but that's a different podcast. But so before we get started, I always tell everybody that if you are a real estate agent or a vendor and you're watching the podcast, you follow me, you subscribe, and you want to be a guest on the podcast, give me a call, 832-654-0527, or email me at kevin.davidson@stewart.com. Be happy to get you on the calendar. Don't expect to be on next week, because I'm out 3 months. So it's a good thing. And I always thank my support team. Couldn't do the podcast if it wasn't for Jennifer Smitis, my boss and the area vice president, Caitlin Cornick, Devin, Kate Cannon, the escrow officers in both of my offices that I market for, and all of our support staff. So couldn't do the podcast if it wasn't for you guys. So thank you. So let's get started with episode number 81. Nobody knows in my world knows who this is yet. So he's a first-time guest on the podcast. This is Cameron Tope. He is the owner and operator, CEO, president, whatever you want to label you want to give him, of Emerson Property Management. Say hi to everybody and introduce yourself.
How are y'all? Cameron Tope, as Kevin said, a broker owner of Emerson Property Management, trying to become the fastest growing property management next to Empire.
I didn't say that to razz you. I said that because it was a fact.
So we do property management around Houston, within an hour of downtown. Smaller company. We manage about 250 to 275 units currently. And we're looking to catch Empire and get that 1,000 door, 1,300 door.
So you're looking to grow and stuff.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I think Morgan was on a few weeks ago or a few episodes ago. So she's our BDM, our business development manager, working with a lot of agents.
So let's get started. I always like to tell everybody, especially first time on the podcast, number one, why did you decide to start Emerson Property Management, and what were you doing before this?
Yeah, so in 2013, I moved down here from Ohio, originally from Ohio.
Oh, wow.
And with...
So wait. You're from Ohio.
Yep.
So are you going for Ohio State Friday, or are you going for UT?
Ohio State, sorry.
Podcast is over. No, it's all right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll see how this turns out by the time it airs, right? So originally from Ohio, and then went to work with British Petroleum down here in 2013.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, BP. Yeah. And then oil was like $120 a barrel. Everybody was making good money, and then very quickly it went down to $30. And people started losing their jobs left and right. I saw some really, really sharp people, super educated, had nothing to do. There were some literally that I knew that were driving for Uber. Really? And so it was like, what can I do to kind of take control of my destiny and not have to, I had student loans, I was just out of school, and it was like real estate kept coming up. Some of the old timers were telling me they had some rental houses. So I started buying rental properties, and then had a handful and couldn't find a management company. I tried to hand it over.
Same story, yeah.
Yeah, and then it was like, okay, so I had a maintenance guy I was working with. I'm like, I'm just going to do it myself. And then friends and family started asking. I had people like, hey, would you manage mine? Sure, no problem. And then we really started in 2019 and 2020. 2020 was our first true hire, or my first hire where it wasn't just me. Right. And then, we had like 50 some doors. And then in 2022, we hired Margot Broughton. And
I know Margot very well.
Yeah. And then we had 80 doors when Margot joined. And like I said, today we manage between 250 and 275 doors.
So that's 2.5 to 3 years of growth.
Yep.
Very nice.
Yeah.
And you said broker, so you have your broker license?
Yes, sir.
Because I think you have to, right?
Yes, to do property management, and that was a very difficult thing. But like, I got my license. Some people recommend maybe not doing it if you're going to be an investor, maybe not getting your license. But I did, and then you had to have like 4 years to become a broker in certain transaction volume. So yeah, broker owner. We don't have to go through anybody else.
How long did you run Emerson before you were a broker?
I had to hang my license underneath a broker to do Emerson. I think it was like a year because I had already worked for 3 years and I applied as soon as I could.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So tell everybody you're a property management company. What kind of properties do you like to manage?
Single families are the best in decent neighborhoods. Properties that are not functionally obsolescent. I think we're seeing a lot of that now where people picked up properties either way far from town or like weird layouts where, I could add a bedroom, I could do this. Those are harder to rent now. They're just becoming less desirable as more and more rentals flood the market. So if you have good school districts, the suburbs are fantastic, but we obviously manage stuff in Spring Branch as well. A 3.2, 4.2, between $2,000 and $3,000 a month is like the sweet spot.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, with the rental rates that they were getting now.
Exactly. Yeah. 3 years ago, it would have been $1,500. Yes.
Yeah. Back when I was with Steve and Pete in Empire Industries, sweet spot was $1,200 to $1,500 a month.
Golly.
Yeah, that was a sweet. And if you got a $1,700 to $1,800 a month rental,
it was.
Yeah, struck gold.
I know it's like stuff now that was rented at $1,500. It's now $2,200. So we're seeing a lot of stuff $2,000 to $3,000. But there is, once you get that $400,000 or $500,000 price point, the rent doesn't keep up with that increase in value. Right. So it kind of like breaks off and flattens out.
Start flattening out.
Yeah. So that 2 to 3 is like a good sweet spot for us.
So so I'm in the resale part of the market. What are the days on market for rental properties now? Because for resale, they're anywhere from 60 to 90 days right now.
Yeah, we have been getting quite a few new construction because they could not sell them. So people bought brand new homes, built or bought brand new homes and couldn't turn around and flip it. So they're turning around to rent it, and or people have super low interest rates, right, and they don't want to get rid of it. So we averaged last year right around 30 days to lease a property. Okay. That's the time from the time that we list a property active on the MLS until the time we have a signed lease with security deposit. I think HAR did an average of like almost 40 days last year. So we're 25-30% faster than the average. Yeah. But we also have less than 1% eviction rate. So we really pride ourselves on that. We'd rather wait an extra day or week and make sure we get a good clientele than lease it a week faster and then have to turn around and evict them, spend $5-10 $, 3 months later.
So let me ask you some questions. Since I was in the industry for 7 years, I know exactly what your job is, what you're doing. So, let's educate the audience. So if I have you manage my property, what does that mean? What do you do for me?
That's a good question. So not all property management companies are created the same. You know that, right, Kevin? So it's like some people come in and they're lease only and they say they do some property management. Some people do full service where they handle everything from soup to nuts, and that's us. We will do the leasing. We're licensed agents. We'll do the maintenance, and we'll handle all that for you. We have a network of like 45 or 55 or maybe even 60 vendors now that we work with across Houston. So we have a lot of out-of-state investors or folks that come in from California, we have Australia, like 4 or 5 different continents, actually, that invest with us. So they don't need the team. They're just a one-stop shop. They find us. We have the network. But we handle everything, the life cycle of the tenant, the move-in, i.e. the leasing, the maintenance, then the tenant move-out with the security deposits, all your bookkeeping, everything's done per IRS guidelines. And then if you have to, when the tenant moves out, we do it all over again. We'll get the property ready to market. We'll, like I said, do the security deposit, list it again, and just repeat.
So for the investors out there, they don't need to hire contractors. They don't need to hire. You handle all that stuff.
Yes, sir.
So you're 100% turnkey.
Exactly.
You do everything.
Everything.
That's important for the investor and for the real estate agent, because if you're a real estate agent and you work with investors, that's a selling point.
Yes.
For your clients. You don't necessarily have to tell them that he's doing all the work. You can tell your client that you're partner with Emerson Property Management, and you've got all that taken care of, and you can make yourself look good.
Yeah, we're a part of your team. Think about that as an agent. We want to be a part of your team. It's your client. We want to take care of your client until they go to sell the property, and we hand that property back to you.
Okay. We got to stop right there. Okay, because he just said something that was a nemesis for me the first year and a half I was in property management. If you refer Emerson your client with an investment property to manage, and they end up managing it, and the investor decides to sell, and they always do.
Yep.
3 years, 6 years, 9 years, whatever it is,
Mm-hmm.
3, 5, and 7. They always sell. They are going to. This is the owner of the company saying this. They are going to contact you to give you, the agent, the referring agent, back the property so you can relist it.
Yep. We actually have that in our property management agreement. So in our agreement, when we go to sign up your client, they'll say referred by, and it'll say Kevin Davidson.
Mm-hmm.
So we make sure we have that in our system tagged in our signed property management agreement. So when that client goes to sell, we go, oh, look, Kevin Davidson's a referring agent. Even if we don't talk to you for years,
Right.
hey, Kevin, your client's ready to sell. Here you go.
So you do reach out to the agent to
Yep.
let them know?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yep.
Awesome. So that means that you're not going to lose your client.
Nope. Unless you're out of the business, and then we can do a referral fee, or you've moved on to maybe
Right.
another market. We'll work something like that. But it is your client to dictate how you want to handle that.
So when they refer the property to you,
Mm-hmm.
if they want to, can they lease it, or do you require you do that?
We require that because we have so many guarantees. Now, if you lease it and then want to hand it to us, that's fine. But once they sign on with us, we will have to lease the property. You're pretty much handing the property over saying, hey, I've got the property manager. Here's a member of my team. They're going to lease the property and take care of it. And you don't want to be the one to say, this tenant's doing this tenant's doing that, and calling you as the agent. You want them to blame. You want to blame us. Because when the tenant isn't paying rent and you have an issue, you can blame the property management company. But if you're the one that placed the tenant and we're managing, we'll go, well, we didn't place the tenant.
Right.
We didn't screen the tenant. So,
But if they run across an investor or have a client that has investment property that already has a tenant,
Yes.
and they need a new or a property management company, they can still refer that to you as well.
100%.
And you'll manage it. It's
Yes.
just when the lease is up, then it will go under you instead of them.
Exactly. Yeah, we prefer to manage it because, again, you can blame us. We're screening the tenants, and then you kind of say, well, these are the professionals. We screen. I mean, I think we leased 91. We did 91 leases last year. We did 104 turns last year. We got our criteria very, very sharp. And I can tell you, we did a study of 2024's evictions. 94% of our evictions were done by tenants that we did not place.
There you go. That tells you the whole story right there. You need to let them lease your property.
Yeah.
Tell everybody real quick. You don't have to list every one of them out,
Yeah.
but what is the criteria to be able to lease from Emerson Property Management?
Well, there's a boatload. And actually, as an agent, if you do want to take it, we have all the qualifications online. So if you're a newer agent kind of saying, well, what would they do? We have it all online. We have a credit score threshold. We obviously don't want anybody with evictions or broken leases, no violent crimes. But you guys can see we list all that stuff out. We have people who take that and lease the property, which is fine. They say we're going to use Emerson standards. We put that out there. We're going to be super transparent. And we're updating that constantly. We have something happen, maybe an eviction. We do what we call an AAR, an after action review. And we say, what happened? What went wrong? And then we'll update, if we can, we'll update our process and our screening criteria.
Right. And also you'll update processes and stuff as rules and regulations, laws change too.
Yes.
So
The Texas Property Code changes every 2 years.
yeah.
So we're staying on top of that. We make sure our leases are compliant, our property management agreement, anything. Late fees changed several years ago, and a lot of people were still using the old late fee where you could charge on the 3rd, and that went to the 4th. So
if I'm a real estate agent and I refer my client to you to manage, and you manage the property, they sign a contract with you, what do I get for it?
yeah, good question. So we have a very lucrative, or so I've been told, lucrative referral program. So each property or unit that you refer, you get $350 if it's occupied, and $1,000 if it's vacant. So if we lease the property, we will give you $1,000. That way we're collecting the lease fee. But if it's an occupied, we'll give you $350.
Wow. So if they give you a property that has already got a tenant in it, $350.
Yep.
And if they give you a property that you need to lease for them, they get $1,000.
We've had agents who give us a duplex. That's $2,000.
So that's very important. It's not per client; it's per door.
Exactly. If you have a client with 10 doors.
It's $10,000 if they're all vacant.
Exactly.
Do the math, guys. If you're a real estate agent and you're not working with investors, I've been saying my entire career, you need to work with investors. There's lots of reasons. You need to learn how to work with investors because they're not the same as working with a traditional buyer and seller.
100%.
And if you want to learn how to work with investors, call Cameron or Morgan. But if you do, and you only need one, because they buy an investment property every 2 to 3 months. So you buy the investment property for them. That's the commission. Then you refer it to Cameron for management. There's a commission or referral fee. Then he gives it back to you when they resell. That's 3 transactions on one door. You do that 4 or 5 times a year. Who's selling resale properties?
Yeah, exactly. And it's the ability to refer and have us in your back pocket, I think it makes you look, even if you're, I remember when I was just starting out, I didn't really know what I was doing, and I didn't have the experience or the team or manage that many properties. But when you can say, I have this person on my team, you get all our credibility. We've won awards. Like I said, we have 250 to 275 properties. So you can kind of say, hey, my partner has been around, and Margot's got 40 some years of experience.
Yep.
So you can say, hey, our team, we almost have collectively 100 years of property management experience on the team.
Yeah.
So you can leverage that to get your clients to buy more properties and feel comfortable buying more because they know we'll take all that off their hands.
Yeah, you'll handle everything.
Yeah.
He's mentioned Margot twice because Margot actually used to work with me at Empire Industries.
Yep.
So, and he's right about the leveraging the time, because I tell agents all the time when I'm doing my classes or presentations or whatever 3-minute elevator speech, that between the 4 escrow officers that I have in both offices, there's over 100 years experience. And that means something.
It does.
Because when you have to make sure all the I's are dotted and all the T's are crossed, you want something that's dotted the I's and crossed the T's before.
Especially in your business.
Exactly. So, So let's tell everybody a little bit about, so you have Morgan on the team now.
Yep.
She's your business development officer.
Mm-hmm.
What is it that you did before you hired her, and what is it she's doing now to generate leads?
It's a good question. So before, it was all referral based. We had 100 and some doors, and it was just me doing YouTube videos, trying to educate owners about how to buy properties, which I think is super important. It's something that we talked about even before Morgan, right? Just educate, give. I think Gary Vee calls it jab, jab, right hook.
Gary Vee, he's my favorite guy.
Yeah.
I love that guy.
Yeah. So, and I think, so that was what I was doing before. And then but there was no real strategy or anything to it. And then Morgan came on, and it's like, okay, agents are a great way to partner. Mm-hmm. Agent referrals is a great way. So Morgan's reaching out and contacting agents that are doing a lot of business. We're also, posting social media stuff and going to events, trying to sponsor. We work, and now our sponsorship with Lifestyles Unlimited.
Yeah,
so we go around and sponsor that, go network with agents, take people lunch, do education. We just got CE certified. So that was another recommendation from you, Mr. Kevin.
Who's going to be doing the teaching?
Morgan, most likely.
Morgan?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
What's she going to be teaching?
Well, this is hot off the press. So it's like just in the last few weeks.
Exclusive on Kevin's Corner.
Yeah, there you go. So that's something too. But again, it's the education piece. We want to educate everybody, mostly agents, on how you can better serve your clients. And then I know a lot of agents, Kevin, that do property management basically for free. Mm-hmm. And they are sticking their necks out because they don't know what they don't know. Like the risk, the most litigious part of real estate is property management. And the fine's $10,000, $20,000, $30,000. And whereas a transaction, once that sale closes over 30, 60, 90 days, you're done.
Mm-hmm. You're right.
Mostly. There are certain things that come up, but property management, it's a year, 2, 5-year relationship. We have a lot of touch points to screw up.
In as much time as I spent in your industry and as long as I've been in the real estate industry, I have yet to find a broker of any size that wants their agents managing properties,
especially without the proper insurance and licensing,
insurance and everything.
Yep.
So if you're a real estate agent and you're managing properties, your broker probably doesn't know you're doing that, and they probably don't want you to do that. So why not send it to a professional, get paid for it, and they'll make you look good.
We try. We have the agent referral program, and we want to take care of agents. That's why we put it in the PMA that this agent referred you to us, your client to us. We want to build good relationships. We're going to be here a while. This isn't a short-term thing that we're going to try to sell to Mind or something like that. This is something.
Do that.
Sorry, Kevin, had to twist it a little bit. But that we're going to be here a while, so we want to continue to foster relationships and not step on anybody's toes.
Yeah. So, and if you're an agent and you're watching this and you know me, you know that I don't partner with every vendor out there that wants to partner with me. The vendors that work with me, the vendors that sponsor my events, that come to my events, my happy hours, my CE classes, most of them I've been working with for 6, 7, 8 years since I was in property management. And until you guys, there wasn't a good enough property management company out there to partner with. So you'll be seeing these guys around my stuff. I've already got Morgan on some events in the next month or two. So let's talk about one other thing that I wanted to bring up and have you talk about. And it's very important, at least from agents ask this questions all the time, so it doesn't upset their clients. But at the same time, investors are going to want to know this. Tell everybody how you handle maintenance.
Good question. So we actually have a 24/7 portal that we give tenants access to, and they can come in. They can either call us or they can put it in 24/7 on their phone like an app. And then we have, like I said, like 50 to 60 vendors that we work with. But once that maintenance request comes in, it's reviewed by a professional. It's not reviewed by some VA or what have you that just reads this, or some AI bot that assigns something.
It's a human being.
It is. It's a human being that has been in this business a decade plus. And they say, okay, can we troubleshoot? Have you tried flipping the breaker? Have you tried hitting the reset button on the garbage disposal? Have you tried changing the filter? So we have all that laid out, and we don't bill the client for that at all. So there's nothing there. If we then have to send a vendor out, then we send the vendor out. But it's all handled without the owner's involvement, unless that is above $400. So if we go out and we're doing a garbage disposal, it's most likely not going to be $400. But if we go out and realize the ceiling, there's some serious pipe leak, we'll secure and preserve the property and the safety of the tenant, and then we'll get the owner involved and say, Mr. and Mrs. Owner, here's an estimate. It's going to be $1,200 to get all this done. Do you approve? And we get that approval and we move forward with the work. But the owner is only involved, and that's why your clients are probably busy professionals, especially if they're buying a lot of real estate. So we handle all that maintenance. And what we really like is Property Meld is the system or software that we use for maintenance. Every single maintenance request we track from the time that tenant submits it. It's all in the system on how we respond. When a tenant say they didn't respond for 7 days, we're going to take you to court. We have it all time-stamped.
Right, good.
And then when the work is done, we have automatically a survey that goes to the tenants that says, how did this vendor do? We averaged last year a 4.4 out of 5.
Okay.
We average from the time a tenant submitted a maintenance request until it was marked complete of 6 days. So if you think about somebody submitting something on Sunday, it was done by the end of the week. Recently, we've been able to get that even closer to 3 days. But that's troubleshot everything.
Yeah, it all depends on what it is that needs to be looked at and repaired.
Well, and Kevin, that's across everything. That could be something simple like flipping a breaker, or that could be something really substantial like, oh my gosh, we have a sewer line leak. So we, on average, will be 2 to 3 days, but the bigger jobs obviously get that higher. So it is done within the week. And that keeps folks out of Texas property code issues, right? 7 days in the Texas property code, especially around cold and heat.
And you want a good, reputable management company to be handling all these things for you, because it's not something you want to deal with. And at the same time, if you want to get into real estate investing, or you are, but you're not doing it full time, or you have a full time job, but you're doing it on the side as a side gig or whatever. If you hire someone like Emerson to take care of all this for you, they just increased your time of now you can go out and buy more properties and just let them manage it, and you don't have to deal with any of it. All you have to do is answer an email, answer a phone call, and get paid.
We have had a lot of clients, start with one, maybe their primary residence, they move, but then they realize how hands-off it is. And then they buy more. We have plenty of clients that have bought more and more properties over the years. Went from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We actually have an individual that capped out at 10, and he was doing his own management. And now he's buying more properties with his agent. So, it's just one of those that it's low dollar per hour work for an agent, especially when you're getting $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 on a commission on a closing to deal with trying to do $100 a month property management.
And I wanted to say unfortunately, but I don't think it's the right word. Because of today's rental rates, your passive income is a lot easier to attain than it was 15 years ago.
Agreed.
Because I can remember when I was doing what you're doing that, if someone was getting $200 a month of passive income, they were excited about it. Well, when you're getting $3,000 a month of rent and you're still at 3.5%, 4%, you're probably getting $700, $800 to $1,000 passive income. So
I have a lot of properties that I bought I was buying a property every 6 weeks in 2017. Mm-hmm. And a lot of those I bought in 2017, today, they might have cash flowed $100 to $200 a month, exactly mm-hmm. like you said. Now, $500, $600, $700, $800 a month. Yeah. And it's just like, if it's the game's holding, maybe refinancing, obviously, interest rates have gone up, but that's right. If you can leverage buying another property, it's much more than the expense of property management.
Yeah. And the availability of rental properties and things like that is just, during COVID, I mean, investors were the reason why the market the way it was. Mm-hmm. So, and since I was in the industry, I couldn't complain about it. But I know when I got recruited and came over here, the first year I was here, we closed more contracts in 1 year than we had in the last 10 years. God. Because the average days on market was 3 to 5 days, not 30 to 60 days.
Yeah.
Because investors were coming in and going, I'll pay a cash.
Yep.
So they're not doing that anymore, or at least right now. So, but there's no reason why, if you're thinking about getting into real estate investing, there's not a good time. It's when you're ready to do it, just flip the switch.
That is, Kevin, it's so important. When I was buying in 2016, 17, and even before COVID, everyone said, well, that was a different time. It was so good then. It's like, I remember in 16, 17, 18, the people saying, it's expensive. It's always, hindsight always makes it look like, oh, that was a great thing. But real estate goes up over time, mm-hmm. up and to the right all the time. So if they hold, and you hold property, if you bought a bad deal, usually, as long as you're in a decent area, the inflation alone will go up. I mean, It's got to go up 2 or 3% because the 2x4s, the drywall, all that's getting more expensive, mm-hmm. let alone the rent rates.
And the other thing that a lot of people don't think about is that when you buy an investment property and it's being rented by somebody, they're paying your mortgage payment, not you. So don't worry about that being on your shoulders, because as long as you have a tenant, they're going to be paying the mortgage for you. And Emerson is going to make sure that there's a good tenant put in there that's either going to be there for a long term, or if they're not, they'll put somebody else in there that's just as good or better.
We have an 85% renewal rate. We have, on average, our tenants stay between 3 and 4 years.
There you go.
So, you think about turnover and all those expenses that come up with it. We get good people in there that pay rent on time. And like I said, less than 1% eviction rate. So the odds are the tenant's going to move in, stay 3 to 4 years, and renew 85% of the time.
So guys, as we wrap up this segment of the podcast, I haven't really had, other than Morgan, haven't had another property management company on the podcast. If you're a real estate agent, you're watching this, it's very important for you to understand that you can open up another stream of income by working with real estate investors. Don't do it on your own if you've never done it before. Talk to Cameron or Morgan first so you can do it properly, or heck, call me. I mean, I was in the industry for 7 years.
I was going to say, Kevin's a wealth of knowledge.
But you got to, it's like filling a pipeline, work with buyers, work with sellers, work with leasers. Now you can work with real estate investors.
Exactly.
And that's another stream of income. So is there anything coming up with Emerson Property Management in 2025 that you want to share with everybody?
Well, we have pretty aggressive goals. We're going to try to get to 450 units by year end. We are doing a lot. Morgan is expanding, and I think, Kevin, partnering with you on several of your events. Mm-hmm. So there's so much.
Well, I know that a large handful of agents have already called her about stuff from the events that she's come to me with, or mine events. So
yeah. So there's a lot of education. I think 2025 will be a great year for getting out and networking again. COVID kind of put a damper on that, but it picked back up. So there's just so many things that you can learn. And I think, I don't have any specific event to say like this is the one. I think it's all about continuing education, especially if you're an agent. The market's changing, it's dynamic. So get out there and go to Kevin's events. We'll be sponsoring some, or we might have bring you some breakfast and talk a little bit about property management. And I think a super important thing is don't be bashful about asking questions.
There's no stupid question.
No, I mean, because if you have a question, ask us, ask Kevin, ask somebody on the Emerson team, call us up, call Morgan up, and we'll answer that question for you so that you feel confident going to your client and talking to them. We'll give you the data. I just shared a handful of key points, and we're happy to share that information with you anytime. So if there's something you're curious on, or hey, my client's asking this, do not withhold that. Just mention us, call us, ask us. We're happy to help.
Speaking of that, tell everybody how to get a hold of you.
Yeah. Well, you can go to emersonpropertymanagement.com. We have a contact us. Morgan Tondra is our BDM. And, those either way right there, or search us online. I don't remember Morgan's phone number off the top of my head. Is that bad? This is technology for you at its finest, right?
I am going to save this expert.
Oh, no, don't do that.
And
Let me see.
I am going to show it to
No. I'm going to have to find it because.
Here, I'll get it for you. For you. Hang on.
This is bad. Let's see, because.
That's okay. Let's see. Morgan's phone number is.
Here we. Oh wait, am I gonna?
Who's gonna win?
Oh, come on. 832-770-7090. You can call her right there, or like I said, go to the website. And if you're an agent, I'm sure you'll see Morgan at some events, especially at Kevin's events.
Awesome. Yeah. So guys, if you're a real estate agent and you're looking to increase your revenue and grow your business, working with real estate investors is a good idea. Emerson's a great referral partner for that. If you're a real estate investor and you need more investment properties, Emerson can also help you with that as well. So give them a call. This wraps up segment number 1 of episode number 81 of Kevin's Corner, Real Estate from a Marketing Perspective. We'll be back in just a second with segment number 2 with first-rate inspections. We'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye. Hey everybody, this is Kevin. I'm back with segment number 2 of episode number 81 of Kevin's Corner, Real Estate from a Marketing Perspective. We heard from Cameron from Emerson Property Management in the first segment, and now we've got whom I call the bearded inspector. Dustin is here from First Rate Inspections. Do your thing.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Kevin.
This is probably the 3rd or 4th time you've been on the podcast since I started doing this.
Yep.
So pretty much everybody knows who Dustin is and what First Rate does, because he's at most of my events or classes and things. So you guys are the sponsor for the happy hour, monthly happy hour. And we just basically support each other every month on what we need to do and things like that. So we're going to take the time for this particular episode of the podcast to talk to everybody about what is new and happening with First Rate.
Yeah, so moving right past what is an inspection and getting into all the add-ons. What are the additional services that sometimes may be necessary during the home buying process? We often get asked, what do you do? Do y'all do this? And when we spark enough demand from our clientele and we're able to track that demand, we bring those services in-house. Mm-hmm. So most recently, we've added in as part of our service whole home generators, doing the inspections and performance procedures on those to make sure that they are fully functional, they're working, they kick on when they're supposed to, kick off when they're supposed to. We've also included in our new inspection services solar inspections. Wow. Not simply just looking at panels and saying, yep, they're there, but if they're installed properly, if they meet code requirements, mm-hmm. if they're producing, and to what level they're producing, so that when a client does move in, they have the knowledge that their systems are performing as they were intended to, mm-hmm. what power output they're going to get from their solar system, how long they're going to last. We provide that in a 4 or 5 page documented report, and it comes with a certified guarantee of performance.
It's funny you mentioned solar, because I just met and partnered with a new vendor, Triple C Roofing, Lance Edwards.
Mm-hmm.
He does solar. So, solar is one of those things that people either like it or they don't, and at least in my experience.
Yeah.
And now that you've added those to your guys' list of what you do, you had to go get certified for those particular new certifications?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
Doing so allows us to be able to offer that service without hesitation.
Mm-hmm.
Someone asks a question, we want to make sure that our entire team is knowledgeable and skilled to be able to answer those questions and give them the guidance they need. I know, to your point, with solar, it's either we love it or we hate it. And a lot of the agents out there, they dislike it so much because of the convoluted processes and the information that's given to them during the transaction.
Mm-hmm.
But we're set up in a way that we're able to we can assess the solar system, if you will, from a standpoint of is it leased to owned? Is it rented? Does it have a 30-year note? Is it owned outright? Mm-hmm. And those different areas will tell us how to assess the equipment properly and give them the best assessment properly.
How long does it take to do a solar panel inspection on a house?
Given the access, between 30 and 45 minutes. Could take a little bit longer if it's on a 2-story roof with a high pitch, but it's relatively easy and it's not a huge add-on for what we're already doing during the inspection.
And you said huge add-on, so they can add it on to another inspection they're doing, or can they get it also separately?
Yeah, they can do it as a separate inspection, like just a standalone. Homeowners who have solar and they just want to know, hey, how well is my system truly performing? Mm-hmm. We have the data to be able to tell them what it's doing in a right now scenario. So if they want to do it as a standalone service, we can do that, and we can also do it as an add-on to the regular home inspection.
What was the other one you said you guys do now?
Generator inspections.
Generator, that's right. So you don't install them, you inspect them.
We have vendors for that. So yeah, any service we bring on, we want to make sure that we have vendors who can support a need. So if there is if there's a generator that's not performing correctly or it needs maintenance, we have vendors that we can lean on to go and make those repairs much quicker than trying to call Generac.
And this is not plug-in gas-powered generators. These are generators that are connected to the house through the propane or the gas that runs the whole house.
Correct.
The ones that they're not portable. Correct. Okay.
Yeah.
I was not able to put a Generac on my house because I don't have anything. There's no gas.
Right. Yeah. There's some. There are things you can always do, but
I could have had gas propane installed, but there's another $25,000.
Right. Yeah. You're always limited to the confines of what the city will allow or what your pocketbook will.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. Any other new services you guys are going to do for 2025?
Yeah, we have actually got myself and 4 of our other inspectors sitting for ICC certification by the end of this month. So that'll allow us to open the doors to new opportunities with new construction homes, specifically to lenders, doing code inspections. Mm-hmm. When someone needs a specific document filled out from a lender, and it has to be done by what is considered a fee inspector, mm-hmm. That work can then be passed on through us, not just as a home inspection company, but as an IRC certified code inspector.
Okay. So you can do that as well. Wow.
Correct. Yeah.
So is there anything that you guys don't do? You don't inspect?
No.
You're getting up to the point where there's not going to be too many more certifications you can get.
Right. Yeah. We try to shake the tree every year and like, all right, what's fallen out and what makes sense to move into. Right. And we've just gotten to the point where we want to stand by our mantra. And when we tell someone we are your one-stop shop mm-hmm. home inspection company, I don't want to ever have to answer the phone. And when someone says, do you do this? I always want to say yes.
Of course.
And
yeah.
so The answer will always be yes. And if that means we're going to do it and be present and bring in one of our vendors to support, the possibility and opportunity is always there.
Okay. So from a services standpoint, those are the new things that you guys are going to be doing this year. You're also, to the best of my knowledge, the only inspection company that offers any kind of real education for real estate agents to not only help agents understand the inspection process and all kinds of different areas of it, but at the same time help them keep their license current. So, because you've been teaching for me for years, and what are some of the new classes you guys are going to be offering this year?
So we just submitted to TREC for review 3 classes, one on solar and its effect on the real estate transaction, one on clandestine testing. Clandestine testing will cover everything pharmaceutical. And for those of you at home, yes, that is meth testing. We do that service as well.
I was going to ask.
And so those are 2. And then the third one that we just got done, actually just submitted this morning, is for waterfront living. And that'll cover everything from rivers, lakefront properties, coastal dwellings, and everything in between. So if it's effectively in a FEMA flood zone or attached or associated with a river authority, we have a class that's focused on bringing education to what type of unique inspections are done, how they're done, the qualifications to stand behind, all of those things.
And I imagine being near water, whatever type of water it is, there's probably different types of things that affect the home, being that close to water, that you're probably going to highlight when you do those kinds of things.
Yes. Yeah, there's water, as we all know, can play a huge effect on property. And so during the real estate transaction, that can often be something that people may overlook and just thinking like, oh, I'm just going to get a home inspection done. And, coastal, we're down in Galveston quite often, and it's not odd to find an HVAC system that's completely rusted out, just destroyed by salt water. And, it's a huge expense to replace an outdoor condenser and all your copper plumbing. I mean, you're talking at a minimum $6,500 to get back rolling again.
I want to know who to hire because mine was $8,000.
Yeah.
I'd from inside, outside, nut to every tube, every nut, every bolt, replaced it everything a couple of years ago. It was $8,000.
Yeah. I got vendors for that.
I'm calling the wrong people.
That's my shameless plug.
Awesome. So let's talk a little bit about this podcast is a little bit about marketing and stuff. So tell everybody a little bit about how they can find you guys, where you are, what you do to grow your business, what you go to generate leads, other than helping educate real estate agents.
Yeah, so we have 2 office locations, one in Jersey Village and one in Cypress. And we're all over social media. We're on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. I think we even have a LinkedIn account. I'm supposed to manage it, but I don't. But we're all over the socials. And then every opportunity within our means that comes our way, as far as presentations, lunch meetings, CE classes, we're always trying to be out and about within the community. Sometimes it's not about education. Sometimes it's just about relationships. We want to do business with people who want to do business with us, and doing business with us means doing good business. So we always try to get out and meet, mingle, shake hands, interact with everyone within our sphere of influence, and meeting new people and bringing them into that sphere is what it's really all about. Yeah.
And you guys also have a website where I know that you can go to if you're an agent looking for CE credits and classes. You have a section on your website. I think it's called Education.
Yep. If you visit our website, that's at firstrateinspections.com. There's a tab up in the corner that says Realtor Education, and that is updated live. Every class that we host, whether it be with a title company, a brokerage, in our office, there'll be a time, a date, an address, where it is, what the class is about, and agents can go on there and find out where the next education is going to be held.
And by the way, this podcast will be available late this weekend or next week. And Tuesday, you have a class that you're doing for me here that I have to look, but I think it's already full.
Yeah,
So-
I believe so.
Yeah. So, which would be the 14th?
Yes, sir.
14th. So if you're an agent, you're looking for CE credits this early in the year. I think it's at 11 o'clock.
Yep.
Here at the Stewart Title Sugarland office. Come on by. Get yourself that's 1 hour CE credit.
That'll be a 1 hour. Yep.
Heating systems, right?
Yes, sir.
Heating systems. Okay. What about what is? I know those are the news things that are coming up and everything. Is there anything that you or First Rate Inspections has got coming up for the new year that you guys haven't implemented or haven't? You're thinking about it, but it's not something you started working on yet that you can talk about?
Ooh, it's a loaded question.
It is. It's loaded, but it's necessary.
Yeah, there's
Give
What-
them a hint.
yeah. Essentially, what we're gonna soft launch is we did an impact study on this with another home inspection company not in our market, and it worked really well. So what we're going to implement and we're soft launching is a virtual tour, essentially, of the home while the inspection is being done, and then that'll be delivered to the client. And then a lot of times clients can't meet us at the inspection, or agents inform them not to come because they don't want them interfering with the inspection process, which is understandable. We like our clients to come. We want them to be part of the inspection and ask questions and have input and give feedback. So we're not against it one way or the other. But what we found is that interaction, that communication piece was missing with, COVID kind of killed the whole let me be involved and let me be part of everything. And people just got used to that. Like, we're hands off. We don't need to be there. So to reintroduce that, what we're doing is giving them the opportunity to then find us on our Zoom channel and come in and say, okay, I'm here to meet with Inspector A, whether it be our inspector, Eligio, Robbie, Corey, whoever it may be. They go in there and select their inspector, and they wait in their queue, and then they get personal hands-on face-to-face time with their inspector to go over their report.
Oh, wow.
That way it's more personalized. They can ask the questions they need to. It's all recorded, so everything that's transcribed through that conversation is put in a script, and then we can send them that for notation for later on if they need to refer back to it. So
And this is with the person that's actually purchasing the home,
correct.
not the agent representing them, the actual.
Yeah, if the agent wants to be present, because of its unique format and the way that we're doing it, we will only send the links to the client. And if the client decides that they're going to get on and they want to have their agent invited, they can then share the link with their agent.
Okay.
Because we want it to be focused on the client's
Of
needs.
course. Yeah. Wow. Technology.
Yeah, it's come
Taking
a long
over
way.
everything. I know. Wow. Okay, so let's, as we wrap up the podcast, let's tell everybody how to get hold of you.
Yeah. So first is our website. That's the easiest way to get a hold of us and message us by email. Our website is 1strateinspections with an S.com, firstrateinspections.com. Or you can reach us by phone at 832-567-5791. Or you can get us by email by emailing clientcare@firstrateinspections.com.
You said you had 2 offices, one in Cypress and one in Jersey Village,
That's correct.
and you're on all major social media platforms.
Yes, sir.
How do they? Is it just search first-rate inspections?
That's correct. Yep.
Okay, pretty easy. So if you're a real estate agent and you're watching the podcast and you need a inspector, Dustin in First Rate Inspections, I've been working with you guys since before you were in charge.
A long time.
A long time. I mean, probably 2015 or 16. So if he's still hanging out with me, then he's still doing a good job. So there's no reason to question it, because you guys know how I am about the vendors I work with. So give me your phone number one more time.
Yeah, our office number is 832-567-5791.
If you need education, you have questions, give him a call. He'll always have the beard. So, so you guys, this is episode number 81 of Kevin's Corner, Real Estate from a Marketing Perspective. Really appreciate you guys listening and tuning in. I'm hoping to hit 100 episodes before the middle of the year. So wish me luck. That's only 19 more episodes. I should be able to do that. I was going to say, if you are an agent or a vendor that operates in the Fort Bend County area and you want to be on the podcast, give me a call, 832-654-0527. And I always want to thank Jennifer Smidas, Caitlin Cornick, Devin Devin, Kate Cannon, and all of our support teams here, both in my Richmond and Sugar Land office. Couldn't do the podcast if it wasn't for you guys. There's a couple surprises coming up for Stewart Title, Sugar Land, and Richmond in the future. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but they speak Spanish and they speak Asian. So stay tuned. And like I always say, if you need title and you're not using Stewart Title, shame on you. You guys have a nice weekend, and we'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.